Oh, we are back. Flint's News Talk 1470 WFNT. Sam, how are you?
Yeah. Good. How about you?
I'm doing well. How long has it been since we were doing community chat over here?
Oh, geez. I'm trying to think. 4 years now?
Yeah, it's been a while,
Yeah.
hasn't it? The dynamic duo.
6 years?
6 years? I was going to say, I thought it might have been longer than that. Well,
Time flies when you're having fun.
it absolutely does. Is you and JJ still doing your thing?
Yeah. JJ and I still, well, we do just horse racing now as far as radio, television.
Yeah, right.
We were doing the daily morning show, but then the political took all the fun out of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't any fun anymore, so
Now
we're
you
just doing the horse racing.
concentrate on the horse racing, which I know was something you guys have been doing for a long time. And again, the longtime hosts of Community Chat on Lapeers Real Country, the new 1530 WLCO. Sam, I saw you on Facebook commenting yesterday about this horrific shooting, and noticed that your granddaughter went to this school.
Mm-hmm. Actually, my granddaughter and grandson, I would pick up, I do Tuesdays with Mama, where I would pick my grandchildren up, and we would do things together.
Yeah.
So I would pick them up from school, Stoneman Douglas School.
This is the shooting.
At least once a week.
And this is the school, Sherman Douglas is the school in Parkland where this took place yesterday.
Yes. And it's a newer community. It's right up against the Everglades. Wealthy area. Matter of fact, when I would go up, because I'm more towards Fort Lauderdale, you would go up in north and west all the way to the edge of the Everglades. So it's way out west, as I said, a newer community.
Yeah.
And all the schools are right there. You have... once you get off the highway, you go up a block and you take a right, and then all the schools are along this drive.
Yeah.
That you go, and it's not like you're only going on that road if you either live back there or you're picking the kids up from school.
Right.
And there's a middle school is right there. Then there's a football field, and then the high school.
Yeah.
Now, they have the gate locked to drive on at certain times.
Okay.
But when when you're picking up, dropping off, the gates are open.
Gotcha.
It doesn't limit access to the school. There's, like, the one time I took a wrong turn, I thought I could make a shortcut.
Okay.
Got out of the car, I walked over, and I walked right up to the school. So you can walk right onto the property.
All right.
It's not sealed off. Now, I had said to my granddaughter, she knew the shooter because he had stalked her girlfriend.
So the shooter had stalked her girlfriend?
Yes. This kid was known to be off.
Yeah.
Not quite right.
And how was this known? I mean, what kind of things? Was he got in trouble a lot? He was
always boasting about having guns, and, he was just not, like, it didn't blend well, let's put it that way.
And
from what I understand, he lost his father, died a few years back, and his stepmother recently died.
Okay.
He was not living at home. He was living at a friend's parents' home, with his friend.
Okay.
And they knew he had a gun. They told him he had it be locked up, which it was locked up, but of course he had the key. He's over the age of 18, so you can't say child services or anything stepped in when he didn't have any parents, because he's 18 years old. He's no longer in that jurisdiction of child family services.
Yeah.
So, but she did, she knew that right away because her friends were texting her, and then she found out that one of her girlfriends was shot.
Oh, man.
How she is, we don't know her condition. No, and there's a few other friends that they have not been able to get a hold of. Now, when you do go on the property at the front of the building, and just like any other high school, you have kids hanging out front sometimes.
Yeah.
We all,
sure.
It depends. They have scattered timings too. Like when I would pick them up, Christopher would walk towards the road over the grass, and Jazzy would be sitting up against the wall talking to her girlfriend.
Right.
So what it was, because I said, Jazzy, why did he pick the freshman building? Because she knew what building told
Yeah.
it was right away.
Yeah.
And she said, Mama, because it's the only building that is enclosed. Like, you can't get out of the building. Down here in Florida, we have a lot of schools where the classroom opens up right to outside.
Okay.
So you might have an awning for, like a roof over the
Yeah.
top, and the kids are walking outside.
Okay.
The freshman building is the only contained building, meaning if you walk out of the classroom, you're still within the building.
Gotcha.
So he knew, that he could get more people in there because they would be trapped.
Jeez.
So that's the scary part, that he really planned this out
Yeah.
to that degree. It's just, as I said, everybody's waiting to hear who was involved, what the conditions are, who the kids were, the ages and all. When their own friends right now are sitting on the edge. Like, Jazzy happens to be in Jersey, and she said, it's hard to go to school today. Because I'm sure the kids there'll be some jokes cracked about it. I've seen some adults already crack jokes about it on social media, political jokes. But she said, people, until it hits home, you really don't get just, it's horrific, yes. But when you know that you're taking your kids to school there,
I can't imagine.
The one thing I was shocked at is the school's closed for at least a week.
Yeah.
However, the middle school, which is right next door, these kids were on lockdown till after 6 p.m. last night. Their parents could not get them.
Wow.
So their school's open today, which shocked me.
Yeah.
That, here they were on lockdown till after dinner last night.
Yeah.
And now they're back in school today. But some psychologists are saying that it's good for them to be with their friends and everything. But that whole area is just school. There's a Jewish school, there's a Catholic school, then there's the public middle school and the public high school. So it's a
kind of a campus
schools in that area.
Yeah, they're all together. Man, that's no. I saw a video of one of the cell phone videos, one of the kids who was trapped in one of the classrooms that he came into, and it's just, you just can't imagine.
No.
You just can't imagine. And so Jazzy, she still hasn't heard from the one friend that was shot. Obviously, this is going to take time that's the other thing. You hear so many different stories, and that's why we really really appreciate you taking time to share some of this, because I'd heard that his parents had died and he was living with an adopted parent and they died. But you're saying his dad died, he had a stepmother, she just died, and he was living with a friend at the time.
Right.
Okay.
And they did know about the weapons.
And and he wasn't attending the school at the time. He'd been kicked out. Is that correct?
Yes, he had been. The school down here, they're very sophisticated in that you constantly get updates from the school.
Yeah.
There's a private account where you can see what your kid's up to, whether they handed in their homework that day.
Wow. Any
issues go through that system. Is it utilized properly? No. It could be utilized much better. It's just getting everybody into the technology of sharing the information of what's going on. And, to know that this kid, the kids knew, but until somebody does something that warrants the law to look into it, they're saying, well, you didn't do anything. And they're kids. I mean, kids say things. Today, it's a different story. If they're going to kill you, you start to get worried, because in today's day and age, it very well could happen.
Yeah. But then on the other hand, you get folks who go crazy about a Pop-Tart chewed into the shape of a gun, a 6-year-old. I mean, it's just...
Right.
They take some things and they go just absolutely crazy, and you've got this kid who with all these warning signs, with so many kids who were afraid, who thought that he could do something like this, and yet there's nothing, there's no way to step in and prevent something like this.
And the thing is, too, again, with children, families, and services, you can't take, like with the heroin epidemic and everything that we have, or even just the homeless kids in Lapeer, the kids are living in their car, going couch surfing because they have nowhere to go. We are forgetting. I mean, is it that they're not as mature at that age as we were in our age? Is it social media that's just distracting them?
Yeah.
What's driving them? And my granddaughter actually has a book report due, and it's one of the books in the series of books called The Unwinding or Unwound, or there's 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually stories about what do we do with our youth today, and it takes it like a futuristic look, and it marks all the things that happen in our current time about what do we do with our kids, the pro-life, pro-choice, and it's about a decision that they made that they could actually what they call unwind kids. You couldn't kill a kid, but you could harvest them for everything as long as they were still alive. So that's why I said to my granddaughter, should he be unwound? You know, what do we do? What are we going to do with this youth? Where are we headed? Where are our laws headed? How are we going to pull this in? This, you know, as I said, the heroin epidemic. Once a child turns 18, you're SOL.
Yeah.
With getting help. It has to be on their terms. When you know they have a problem, but yet you can't do anything because of the age.
It didn't used to be that way. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie Gaslight. It's it's a 40s, 50s movie, and it's about a guy who's trying to convince his wife that she's crazy, right? Because he wants to have her committed. So I mean, you used to be able to do this, and it got abused, and so they reformed and changed this. But there are people who, despite the fact that they're of age, who need to have some sort of intervention. You need to have some tool to be able to get at this problem.
I actually have a niece that unfortunately was in a car accident and has some brain damage. And you remember, matter of fact, a lot of people up in the Pier prayed for her that she even made it.
I remember, Yep, I do.
Well, unfortunately, she's in the drug world and heroin, and my sister's just waiting for a call that she's dead.
That's just...
And there's nothing you can do. Her mental capacity is that of a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
She's 21, but mentally she's 13, and her mother can't do anything.
Yeah. No, that's...
And we have to do something.
Yeah. Very sad. Well, I sure hope your granddaughter's okay. Have you talked to her? Have you talked to her? I imagine you have. How's she doing?
Oh, yeah, we're constantly. I said, let me know about her friend Sam. That's the one who was shot. Let me know as soon as you hear about Sam and that you hear from your, because there's a few other friends that haven't been heard from yet.
Yeah.
So, as I said, the world waits to hear who they are when their friends are waiting to hear at the same time.
Listen, Samantha, I've got Sherman Mays with me, and he co-hosts here, and he had a question for you, too.
Yeah. Hi. I just had a question. Has any authorities talked to you or your granddaughter at all?
Oh, no. I mean, you're talking about, first of all, Jesse's in Jersey.
Oh, okay.
And we're talking about a student body of 3,000 kids.
Yeah, it's going to take some time.
Sure. Okay.
Well, it's going to take a lot of time to even, it was one of the coaches was killed. Unfortunately, he was pushing a girl out of the line of fire, and he took it, and he has passed last night. And leaves behind a wife and child. So we're going to be hearing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I saw a story about him, Feist, right? It's Feis. Yeah. And he hadn't passed away at the time that I saw this story. It was in the Miami Herald.
Overnight last night.
Oh, yeah. And you see these things. I mean, do you think, I mean, if this guy stepped in front of a bullet to protect this child, do you think if he was armed, I mean, is that part of an answer? It's not an answer, but it can make a difference, right?
No, it does, because there's schools having been with my grandkids in high schools down here, you can walk right into a school, and even up in Lippe here, when we would go to schools with Byron Conshu and do these talks on bullying or drugs or whatever issues, you can pretty much walk right into any school.
Yeah.
And one school I got lost in, and nobody even asked me what I was doing there.
Yeah.
So while we say we're on alert and all that, we're really not.
Yeah.
And nothing would have stopped this kid, because apparently he walked up to this building and opened fire on the outside of the building, and then went into the freshman building, where, as we said, these kids had no way out.
Yeah.
And continued his rampage in the freshman's thing. So the only thing that could have stopped him is if there were a guard with a gun right there at the front of school.
Yeah.
Could have ended it right there.
Yeah.
And they usually do have cops around, but for some reason, didn't.
Didn't yesterday. Well, it's horribly sad, and you know, hug your granddaughter next time you see her, and
yes,
and I
grandson, because my grandson, was in that was his building. That was
no kidding.
He was a freshman.
What's your grandson's name?
You know, my daughter said she could just stand there and she could visualize the whole thing,
right?
Knowing where the layout of the whole building.
That's got to be freaky.
It is. She's beside herself. She just she's not being down here. Everything is being done through the phone with her friends and contacts.
That's got to be hard.
Support system.
It's got to be hard too.
Yeah.
Did they just move for this school year? They just moved this school year?
They just what?
Just moved this school year?
No, this past school year.
Past school year.
So actually, Jazzy finished her was a junior, and my grandson was a freshman when they attended.
What's his name?
Last year.
What's his name?
What's her name?
His name. Your grandson.
My grandson is Chris.
Chris. Okay. How's he doing?
Chris. He's just sort of mind-boggled.
Yeah.
Like, this is my school. This is the school I was just, attending.
Yeah.
And I think it freaks them out. But Jazzy sort of said, I realized I kind of wasn't surprised.
Yeah. Because it was him.
Wasn't surprised.
Because it was him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam, it's great to talk to you, and I'm sorry it's under these circumstances, but thank you so much for all the information.
Yeah, and please, in our communities, we need to watch out, especially for this vulnerable group that is not covered by Child and Family Services or anything. And these are our kids that are couch surfing, and who knows what's going in their heads.
Yeah.
We have to figure a way to be not coddle.
Yeah.
Because we weren't coddled, but there's got to be some answer. Has to be an answer.
Sam, it's good to talk to you. Thank you.
Good talking to you, too. Take care, everybody.
All right. Anita St. Clair, Sam. She's a pro. I mean, I know it's tough. I talked to her earlier, but it's, and this is the thing. If you're involved in something like this, it's hard to put yourself in the situation. I shared a post a long time ago. I had Dr. Susanna Gradia Hupp. Her name changed. She was just Susanna Gradia at the time, but she was involved in the shooting Killeen, Texas, Luby's Cafeteria, I think it was.
Right.
And I'll share that when we come back.